Hey, welcome to the Town Hall Academy on surviving an economic downturn. Now, you get an opportunity to be a fly on the wall on this discussion with three aftermarket coaches as they share thoughts, strategies, and tactics on coming out the other side of the COVID-19 economic downturn.
And I said, what is the total amount? It was $86,000 that they couldn't cash. I said, okay, are you ready to do the tough stuff? She says, I got to cash these checks. And when it came down to it, when we went through and told her and showed her the tough things that had to be done in the business, guess what she couldn't do?
She couldn't do any of them.
She couldn't do the tough stuff.
You have to take care of yourself first, because without you, there's not the business.
Welcome, automotive aftermarketers, to a Remarkable Results Radio Town Hall Academy. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results.
Hey, so nice to have you here and partaking in the Town Hall Academy, the Aftermarket's original weekly forum for the forever student, where we take a single subject each week and openly discuss it so you benefit. Carm Capriato here. Look, now's the time to think about transforming your shop. Break away from your legacy SMS and embrace Shopware, Shop Management System. Now, you may have some time on your hands, so this may be one of your best moves. Shopware can show you the way to increase profits from happier customers and a more efficient staff. Visit shop-ware.com/demo for a free preview. Tell them Carm sent you. Hey, I want to thank you for being part of the Digital Streaming Society. You know, you've discovered the value of podcasts in the aftermarket, and just 5 years ago, I brought the industry valuable podcasts that have helped spread wisdom, trends, and insights on everything automotive aftermarket. We're always looking out for your best interest. You know, information is changing daily on the COVID-19 with the CARES Act and the interpretation of it and getting ready to file for applications. Please seek guidance and support from your accountant and your banker to complete the SBA application to help support your business. See the homepage of my website for great podcasts and Carmcasts on the CARES Act and what other shop owners are doing navigating their business through COVID-19. Hey, keep in mind that the views today and the opinions expressed are those of my guest and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the author, sponsors, associates, or affiliates of LSTN Media, LLC. I'm delighted to have Ron Ipach, Malin Newton, and Chris Cotton here. We talk about being in a recession-proof business, marketing, making tough decisions, and so much more. Many bright spot ideas here to encourage you to find a positive attitude and navigate the challenges to get through this crisis. Look, we've been deemed an essential industry, so we're open. So tell your customers and be essential to the first responders, healthcare professionals, nursing homes, and food pantries. Get involved with all local businesses. Plant seeds now and get ready to water them on the other side of this pandemic. And I'm so happy to have this panel of business coaches in here talking about surviving an economic downturn. I have to tell you, these are unprecedented times. I'm sure that each one of you who are listening, every coach, every shop owner, every technician, you've been doing things in the last 2 weeks that you've never done before. And one of them may be, how are we going to survive this and get this business as whole as we can and get through to the other side? And that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. But here who is with me, I have a highly esteemed panel. So glad to have Ron Ipach from Repair Shop Coach. Hey, Ron.
Howdy.
And Malin Newton from ESI, the Educational Seminars Institute. Hey, Malin.
Good morning.
And Chris Cotton, Auto Fix SOS, a certified profit first professional. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Good morning, everybody.
Glad to have you here. Unprecedented times. You all have clients that you're responsible for who are trying to climb up and out of this, and you're probably giving advice like you've never given before, and you're probably also earning and getting new clients because, the whole world's been told you need to have a business coach or consultant and some kind of accountability partner in the company. I'm sure you guys are gaining clients in the last 2 weeks, and that's a good thing. But what have you been doing? You know, how hard have you been working with your current client base, Ron?
Well, as you probably have been seeing a lot of my videos, I'm doing a lot of daily videos, creating new training, been doing lots of webinars, handling a lot of phone calls. It really has been a series of, I think the last 4 or 5 days, 13-hour days, just basically nonstop powering all the way through it because, now, as you mentioned, everybody knows they really should have a coach. But something out there kind of happened. I think people are now realizing, oh my God, I got to have a coach, or I really need to rely on my coach. So we've been asking our clients to rely on us more than ever before. Right now is not the time to say, sorry about calling. It's the time to say, how can you help me? So it's been really been busy, been a lot of fun too.
Good. I'm glad. I like the whole fun part because I think we need to find the optimism in coming out of this the other end. I think if we're doom and glooming ourselves, and if we're dealing with the anxious mind and not the logical mind, it's going to hurt us in ways that we probably never even thought of, to the point where I think, Ron, you have said in the past, what have you said? Trimming the herd, right?
Yeah. Thinning the herd.
Thinning the herd. Chris, what's going on with you and your clients this week?
A lot of the same stuff. I've spent a lot of time on the phone, emails, finding out what works in one area and trying to see if it'll work in other areas. I sent out a mass email and did a thing on Facebook the other day telling that if anybody wanted to talk about it, just call me, contact me, email me. We'll get you through it. Talking to current clients, obviously, former clients, potential clients, some people that will probably never be my client, but I don't care at this point. It's just, survive. Let's survive this and move on. Yeah. I've kind of taken, let's survive the next 30-day mentality. And I started that with a video on Monday. So we're 5 days into it now and 25 days to go. We'll see what happens after that. And I'm really at this point a big believer. Sun Tzu said, out of chaos comes opportunity. So whatever is happening, a lot of what we're seeing already now is there was a big Honda dealer in Colorado that laid off a bunch of technicians yesterday. A big Toyota dealer in California. So I'm super excited to see where we land after this.
One of the things I like that you said is, and I thought in my mind, chunks of time, if it's not the week, then it's the 2-week period, it's the month. I think if you bite it off in chewable chunks, it's probably a whole lot easier. Malin, how about you? What's been shaking this week with you?
A lot of phone calls, a lot of fear. That's the thing that I get a lot of. What are we going to do? How are we going to take care of this? And my philosophy has been be optimistic one day at a time. There's a lot of opportunity out there. People are hearing me say now's the time to hire people because they're available, and they're going, what do you mean? There's a lot of very good people, as we've already heard from Chris, that are out there available. Now's the time to act, not to react. So be very proactive, go after things. It's very interesting. I've actually said I told you so, probably more in the last week than ever before, because they call me up and say, hey, and I say, remember we talked about this and I told you to do this? And you told me, no, it was stupid. I don't need to put money in the bank. I don't need to have expectations. I don't need to have a marketing plan. I don't need to have phone calls to my clients. So, in a very polite way, it just reinforces all the things that all of the coaches say, because I don't think we're all saying that much different stuff. It's the way we say it. I've had some very interesting conversations with guys going, well, I think I'm just going to close for a week. Why are you going to close for a week? Well, it saves me money. Well, it saves you a little bit, but all your big expenses, rent, insurances, can't get canceled out. Well, I really wanted to go ride motorcycles. You take a week off and go ride motorcycles. The shop should be open because somebody's going to call. It's just crazy stuff.
Great advice and lessons learned from inside the coaching world. Thank you for sharing all that personal stuff. So let's get into this surviving an economic downturn. And I don't want to use the R word. 2007, 2009, housing bubble, global meltdown, finances, a couple of quarters in a row, depressed economy. Who knows what's going to happen? I think the stock market is maybe going where it is. But still, the plan is we are in unprecedented times. So how can we survive this economic downturn? Ron, you told me it's time to be lean and mean. Explain that.
Yeah, well, I think when the economy was good and everybody was going about their daily business, and there never was really the fear of the recession, even though we've been talking about it, eventually what goes up is going to come down. People were getting really sloppy with what they were doing. And, so they were just spending money on things, the latest whiz-bang idea, or they were just kind of throwing a bunch of tactics out there and not really paying attention to having a solid plan. So what we're finding now is, it seems like everybody is trying to trim expenses as much as possible. Malin mentioned something about, well, you got expenses, you have to pay those things. Well, you start looking at, well, what have I been spending my money on before? And I kind of look at it different. What we've been telling our clients is kind of the same thing. Look, regardless what goes forward, the message is the same. Success is the exact same, regardless what the economy is. But when it comes to these expenses and getting lean and mean, you have to look at every dollar you spend right now has to make you money. Okay, you can't afford to give money out and have it deplete. Okay, so you have to look at your expenses as this is a pure expense. In other words, I put it out there and it doesn't come back to me at all, or it comes back to me a fraction. Or you look at it as an investment. The investments you never get rid of. The investments are the things that are going to carry you through this. It's going to carry you through the recession. It's going to carry you through the good times, the bad times. Good money, smart money spent right is always going to be good. Bad money is always going to be bad. It's just we tend to notice it a lot more. So I have a lot of people really looking closely at every dollar they're spending. And I think it's a wise thing to do, because bad money is bad money in a good or bad economy. Just it hurts a lot more in a bad economy.
Great wise words. We have talked for years. We've been doing this 5 years now. And every once in a while, every quarter, these words sneak into a podcast. Cash is king. It just sneaks in, Chris. And boy, never more important than now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have the cash available. I'm not telling my clients to shut down for a week and go snowmobiling or whatever. But if you had cash in the bank and had it available and wanted to, then that's definitely an option. So if you wanted to do that and pay your employees, pay the bills, tell them to go home, take care of their families and whatever, you could. But if you make profits, have a cash flow management strategy and keep the cash and have cash available, then you can do whatever happens during a crisis. And so, the big thing is not to to be prepared for the crisis before the crisis happens. I know I have a lot of younger clients who've been in the business less than 5-6 years. So really, this is their first crisis. They didn't go through 9/11. They didn't go through the housing bubble. They haven't had a local crisis like a road shutdown or anything like that. And so, whenever we'll all survive this, most of us will. Some of us, unfortunately, won't. And then when we come out of it, we'll move forward. But then we have to start getting ready and making sure that we're making profits, we're making smart decisions, and we have cash moving forward, getting ready for the next one.
I have always known this, and I've been in this industry too many years. We're in a recession-proof industry, right, Malin?
I believe we are, because what are we going to do with no cars, no transportation, no trucks? So there's going to be a marketplace for us. And everybody's correct. We have to position ourselves correctly. We need some cash. We need to be able to weather some downturns and cash flow issues. And we got to not panic. And I think we have to think long term. For the last 100 years or so, we've had automobiles and people have not given them up. And even today, with the lockdown in California, the freeways are very nice. However, there's still a ton of cars on them. And even if they're not fixing them today, 3 months from now, they're going to have to. So it's a matter of being able to weather some shorter periods of time before these people absolutely have to have their cars repaired. And we need to be positioned to do it. And I can't think, and I've been in this business as long as you have, Carm, like 4 or 5 years, that there's ever been a time when we didn't have repair shops that were busy. They slow down a little bit. The ones that are prepared for it survive it. The ones that aren't, who don't listen, who don't put some money away, spend every dime they get, they're going to filter out of this.
Are we in a watershed moment, Ron, where some some of the guys we've been preaching to, you're looking for new clients. Is it, you had mentioned earlier, trimming the herd. My point is they don't have to go away if they just decide to embrace some really best practices. What works is one of your words. And you know what? If there's anyone who's a marketing guy pointed to the point of the plow, it's you. I mean, is that a strong message today?
Well, it depends. I mean, the biggest question I'm getting right now, because, everybody knows I'm known as Captain Car Count because I've been doing this, focused on the marketing part of it for 25 years. And this is the third recession. So, I can go back and look at, in those 25 years that I've been working with people, what carried them through. And the funny thing is, it's the same stuff that we've been talking about, the entire time. Look, you have to take care of your clientele. You have to do, this is a repeat business. So the easiest customer to get back in the door is your current customer. Well, guess who everybody's trying to market to right now? Their current customer. The time to go and get a new customer maybe is never, depending on how long the business has been around. But what's happening with the people is they're grasping for tactics. And I look at it an overall strategy. The strategy is like the big puzzle that's out there. Sorry, the big puzzle. And all the tactics, the marketing things that you're going to do are the puzzle pieces that go in together in that strategy. The strategy has been the same all along. But the problem was all these new tactics keep popping up, all this new technology. So people are, let's try this and let's try this and let's try this. Well, the problem is that those puzzle pieces don't fit together. You have to look at the overall plan first and then follow the plan. So the same plan has always been, I teach an iron cage marketing system. In other words, lock your customers in an iron cage and never let them go anywhere else. In other words, keep them coming back again and again and again. And if the average car out there should be seen 2 or 3 times per year, and we're talking a 6 to 16-year-old car, and the average customer has at least 2 or 3 cars in their lot, we should see each customer 6 to 9 times per year. But the national average is only 1.3. That's because the focus is on trying to get a new customer instead of retaining your customer base. So the easy thing is, and for everybody, the one thing I've been telling everybody is look at what is working with your current database, because it's the easiest, cheapest, quickest person to get back in the door. And then when you have that handled, then look at things to attract new customers in the door. But you have to be smart right now on what is it, how you're marketing and how you're spending your money, just like I mentioned before.
Hey, Carm here. Now think about your shop management system. Isn't it the center of your business? And most of us are running on systems that are decades old, and you know who you are. It's time to change and get the benefits that a modern system can bring to your business. Shopware Shop Management is a cloud-powered management system that gives your staff and your customers the end-to-end digital experience that they expect. With Shopware, you can see every job and view work updates in real time. And you can manage your shop from anywhere with any device. And that's becoming more important than ever. You'll see your customers interact with digital work orders and buy services from you more often with less effort. You can earn more parts profit with just the click of one button and with less paper, too. You'll also get improved efficiency from your staff. Do this. Request a live tour of Shopware at shop-ware.com. Look, it's time to make the switch and get started making more money with a powerful, modern business tool designed to solve your biggest challenges. Plans and strategies. Chris, I think you're a big advocate for that, to get your clients and to even preach to the industry. You got to have a plan and, of course, execute it.
That's right. So again, when we're talking about panic and fear, when fear is emotion based, and you can't run your business off of emotion. You have to run it off of intelligence. So if you have this scale and the emotion is high, the intelligence goes down. So we have to shift that over to the intelligence side. And in order to do that, you have to come up with, okay, today I'm going to X, or this is the goal, and these are the 3 steps that I need in order to get there. And then as leaders, our community, our clients, our employees are looking for leaders and leadership right now. So as a leader, you have to step forward and move forward and be like, this is the plan. This is what we're doing. We're executing it. Here's the steps we're going to do. And off we go. Now, if something happens and you make the wrong decision and you execute it, then you have to be able to suck it up and make a new decision or a new plan and go. But I would rather you do that than be paralyzed by fear and make no decisions or just shut down your shop and let all your competitors have your business. That's kind of what we're seeing a little bit is I've got a couple of guys that are going to, if the next couple of days holds true, they're going to do better than March last year because their competitor on either side of them shut down and their car count's higher, just mainly because of that.
One of the things, Carm, is that fear factor and the emotional factor. That has been a common conversation. Get the emotion out of this, be a business.
Is that just a recent, Malin, or have you found that to be, a long-term thing?
I've preached that since I've been, and I mean preached it since I've been doing this, which is a couple days. But what's funny is the shop owners, Chris, you talked about leadership. And our problem is most of our shop owners are guys who like to fix cars. They don't consider themselves leaders. So when we start talking about writing a plan and executing a plan and taking the emotion out of it, most of them go, nope, I'm going to go out in the shop and I'm going to reprogram this computer. And that's what's lacking in a lot of today's small businesses is a strong leadership person who can execute a plan and even put a plan into place. And here's a plan that a client talked to me about. Service writer calls me on the phone and says, hey, the boss came in this morning and said, don't charge for diagnostic time and cut our hourly rate. And I said, why? Because we're slow. And I said, wait a minute, back up the wagon train, time out. Don't do that. I don't care what the boss says. Don't do that. I said, why? He says, well, he thinks that's the reason nobody's in. I said, let me ask you a question. The cheaper shops in town, are they busier than you are? And it got dead silence. And he goes, 2 of them are closed. I said, so the cheapest guys in town have closed and you have cars, but you think not enough cars. Yeah. So doesn't it make lowering your price seem foolish? And I said, let's talk about your car count for a minute. How much has your car count changed over the last 3 weeks? In the last 3 weeks, it changed 2 cars on an average. So really, it's not like they went from a huge number of cars to no cars, right? It's an emotional reaction. It's got to be price. And so the service writers go, well, the boss told me to do this. I said, go get the boss and put him on the phone, right? And this is what I got. He doesn't have time to talk to you.
The fear that everybody has is it's the what if. What if people don't want to spend the money right now? What if this? What if that? And the reality is the what ifs never really come, What if you worked harder? What if you worked smarter? What if you had an optimistic look? When you looked at the glass being half full and look at the opportunity, you would find that there's so much more opportunity right now. But you can be on the upper end, but you could also be on the lower end of it where you've got this defeatist attitude that, well, because somebody told me my prices are too high, or what am I doing staying open in this time of craziness? They take that one and it solidifies their stance that maybe I am doing the wrong thing. Maybe I do need to be more price sensitive. Maybe I do need to do this or do that. But I look at, what if you gave this a chance? What if you looked at the opportunity and embraced it? Malin, you mentioned before that we're in a recession-proof business, and that's true, but we're not in an idiot-proof business, So you have to kind of look at this and, you got to be smart. And what works in a slow, and I'll say it again, what worked in a slow period works in a busy period. It's the same plan, just work the plan. Don't change just because the economy or somebody said something a little bit different.
Guys, it almost seems to me, Malin, in your point about let's discount, let's lower, let's not charge. The news said 3.8 million new unemployment claims last week. The government realizes they need to send checks to their citizens to help them. Bills are going to continue. It's an unprecedented time, and I think we're reacting. as an industry to the fact that we bleed for our customers and we bleed for all the crisis out there, but making moves like not charging for diagnostics there's going to be X amount of people that are going to come in. The ones that don't have the money aren't coming in. And I guess that's your job as coaches, to bring the perspective to your clients.
Well, and here's something to think about. So I bring my car in for free diagnostics. If I can't afford the diagnostics, can I afford to fix it?
Nope.
So it's a catch-22. We put ourselves in a position now the customer knows what's wrong with their car and they're telling you, I can't afford to fix it. Have we really accomplished anything other than damaging ourselves? That's the way I look at it. And I feel my job is to take the emotion out of the business for the owner.
Yeah, but look at I'm an owner. Let me take the other side. They don't have the money. They need to get the car fixed. They need it for work. I'm going to help them. And I'm not saying the word discount, but I'm going to make this palatable. This invoice for them, this repair order is going to be palatable for them based on what they have. And I feel I'm doing my part.
This goes back to the cash is king thing. If during the good times you had the money and you kept it and held on to it, then if you want to help people out now, then knock yourself out.
Yep.
Do it that way. Do it with your cash. If you want to pull out your checkbook and say, okay, I understand times are tough. I understand times are lean. The shop's going to pay for it. Don't do it for free. Have the money there, have the money in an account. And as a shop owner, you should always have money in an account, I believe, to donate to, one of the things that we did is on Mother's Day, we did free oil changes and stuff like that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we do for the community. Have the cash to do it. Don't do it when you're down and you're trying to struggle and get out of a hole. I guess hopefully that made sense.
Well, there's also alternative financing too. I mean, you don't have to discount when there are other programs out there, and things like several things where they can get immediate credit. Put it on the credit. See, this is a temporary situation, but a lot of times when we make a change for a temporary situation, it becomes the norm later on, and that's the danger here. That's why I say stay with the plan. Don't discount. As a matter of fact, a lot of our clients, what we're seeing is we're seeing a slowdown in car count, but the average ticket is going up. Guess what? Because they have more time, they're being less sloppy about and taking advantage of every opportunity that comes in the door, and they're not gouging, they're not selling things that aren't needed. They're just doing their job, and now they realize how important this is. So you can't let the opportunities slip through your fingers. So be smart about the people that can afford your service, and have a heart for the people that can't. Find a way to help them, but start with the alternative financing.
Well, thanks, Frank Scandura, for screaming at us in the chat room, no, 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 no. And, the reason that I brought up that whole thing, Frank, was to challenge the thinking here and to show the other side. And Frank says Ron is right. Ron is right. You probably hear that a lot, don't you?
I tell it to myself all the time because my wife certainly is not going to tell me that.
Hey, glad you're all here. Ron Ipach, Malin Newton, Chris Cotton here on Surviving an Economic Downturn on the Aftermarket's original weekly single subject forum, the Town Hall Academy. Like where this is going, probably some of the best advice we can give this month to anyone is surviving this economic downturn. Hey, don't forget, on my homepage, I have carved out a section on the homepage. It's in red. You'll see it sticks right out. Any episode we've done on COVID-19, the panels, the think tanks. Last week's Town Hall Academy was on QC, the final inspection. And don't you think we talked about COVID-19? So it's all there, and they've been very important episodes. Everybody's listening to them, and I appreciate that. Malin, what are the difficult things that people, shop owners, have to worry about?
Looking at your expenses, but don't cut your nose off to spite your face. There's things that you got to do, things you got to have. Number one thing I hear a lot of, I'm sure Ron's heard a lot of this, I'm going to cut back my marketing budget. I'm going to stop marketing because nobody's coming in anyway. But for example, I had a conversation last week. We've had this ongoing, for what seems like a lifetime conversation about a particular employee. Comes in late, not a team player. And I mean, this is a conversation we have virtually every week. It's just like autopilot. Let me hit play here. And I told him, I said, maybe it's time now to make that change, to pull the plug on that employee. You're loyal to the employee is not loyal to you. So that's a tough decision for most people, to let somebody go, especially in these times. It's a tough decision to say no to some of the cars that are coming in that have not been maintained for the last 16 years, and now they want everything done for a reduced price. It's just the difficult decisions that most people put off because nobody likes to make them. And the funny part about this is when times get tight, these decisions become bigger. When we're fat, dumb, and happy, when we have money coming in and car counts coming in and the average ticket's good, we ignore these things. And when car count drops 3 cars, then we go into that panic mode of, oh my gosh, I got to do something here. So the tough decisions, sometimes you've known what they are for years, you just haven't chose to do them. And sometimes the tough decision is you got to make a new, hard choice. And, I've talked to some of my clients about a workplace reduction or a workforce reduction of rotating days off, letting people take vacation time, whatever they need to do. And most small business owners don't like making these decisions. They don't like making the tough ones. When it comes time to spend $20,000 for the new whiz-bang 4,000 computer, it's a yes. But if I have to cut back on work hours, and I get it, it's because they're family and they don't want to hurt their family. But do we sacrifice the entire business for one person or one thing? Those are the tough decisions that these guys are not making sometimes, or they're making them emotionally, like Chris said, and they're not thinking through the ramifications of doing it. And that's where they need to reach out to somebody and go, hey, I got a tough decision to make. I need somebody unemotional to help me think through this.
One thing I want to expand on what Malin said just for a second. Those guys, they don't, at the same point, they'll make sure that their employees get paid and keep employees that shouldn't be there. And they've got 6 checks in the top drawer of their desk that they're not cashing. Guys, that time's long done and over with. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. I started out the year saying that, and I'm going to say it again.
If they only have 6 checks, they're doing pretty well.
Right, yeah.
Because I was at a trade show and I had a lady come to me with a roll of checks in a rubber band. And so she says, I want to cash these. And I said, okay, what are they? She goes, these are paychecks I wrote my husband and myself, and we haven't been able to cash them. And I said, how long is this? She goes, this year. And I said, what is the total amount? It was $86,000 that they couldn't cash. I said, okay, are you ready to do the tough stuff? She says, I got to cash these checks. And when it came down to it, when we went through and told her and showed her the tough things that had to be done in the business, guess what she couldn't do?
She couldn't do any of them.
She couldn't do the tough stuff.
You have to take care of yourself first, because without you, there's not the business. There's a reason why when we sit in an airplane and they make the announcement, in a case of loss of cabin air pressure, the mask is going to come down. They say, put the mask on yourself first and then help somebody else with their mask. Because if you're putting on somebody else's mask and you pass out, then you're screwed. Okay. So you have to look at this thing. And I love the profit first idea, because you take care of yourself first. Then the business has to operate on what's left. And then you start focusing on that. So you guys got to take care of yourself, because without you, there is no business, physically, mentally, spiritually, and business, all of those things. It's more important now than ever to take care of yourself, because without you, none of this happens.
I've done an interview with Mike McCallowitz who wrote the book Profit First, and of course with Chris, who's a Profit First professional. Please go to my website, type in Profit First, and consume those episodes. Actually, buy the book and read it. Is a question: are you advising your clients to work these government programs?
Absolutely. In the beginning, it was to go on to the SBA disaster and get in there and get going. I haven't heard anybody say that they've been contacted back from the SBA yet, so I don't know how long that process is going to take. And I'm sure Hunt will talk about it next week, but I get an email from him late yesterday or this morning that says that probably the best thing to do now is to not do that and go through the new one that they're putting out and do it, because that's the one that you're going to be able to get. That's going to be a grant to where you can get reimbursed for it. And the key here is going back to what Malin said earlier, is now's a good time to hire techs and everything else. And the questions I've been getting from people are, well, I've already laid people off. Before you get this grant, you can bring them back on. The way I understand it, you can bring them back on, apply for the grant, get the grant, and you're good to go. It'll be reimbursable. So if somebody tells me, hey, I can't afford to hire a tech, well, the government's going to pay for you to hire a tech at this point if you work it correctly.
There's a ton of stuff in that act, just a ton of it. You got, Ron?
Yeah, the danger I have in there, and I'm all for, getting those to keep the doors open, to take you through this little bridge thing, but they should not be a replacement for being smarter about the way you run your business in the future. I got a feeling this is more, a lot of people in their mindset is going to be, this is the Band-Aid, the government's going to take care of me if I screw my business up. And it's not. This should be something to just carry you forward, but moving forward, be smarter about it. As Chris said, you need to have money in the bank. Exactly. We've always said 4 to 6 months of cash, operating expenses, cash in the bank. And, so you're not running around in the fear. And I get the fear if your bank account's already drained right now or you haven't been paying yourself, but don't let this, there's a big opportunity. And I would say take advantage of it, but take advantage of it and don't let that be a problem in the future. That's my only fear that I have about that.
Well, one of the things you also have to think about is somewhere down the road, there's going to be a cost associated with this. Mm-hmm. And so if we get that money and we don't fix the business, let's just put it that term, we don't fix the business, how are we going to afford the additional overhead? Because somewhere down the road, it's going to cost us. Mm-hmm. It's either going to cost us in taxes or we're going to have to pay it back. And this thing is changing minutely. So what I'm telling people is take a deep breath. Let's kind of see what filters down till we get something etched in stone. One of my clients told me yesterday that she had heard on some news that all she had to do was go to the bank and she could be approved for an SBA disaster relief loan. So you know what she does? She runs to the bank. First of all, that's not happening. You got to go through a process. But the bank lady told her, she goes, you wouldn't qualify for it anyway. And she goes, well, why? And she goes, well, here's the problem. You have a line of credit you haven't used. They're not going to loan you money unless you use all of your money. And you have a savings account. And this is one of those few clients that have actually saved money. She doesn't need the money, but in panic, she went to get the money, which kind of does two things. It's going to take money away from people who actually need it, in my opinion. And the second thing is she's going to incur some cost that she maybe doesn't need to. That's where the panic part of this hurts us. And that's why my advice is, we have these programs coming. Let's take a deep breath. Let's find out exactly what's available, what it's going to be, what the long-term cost is going to be to us before we make a decision. But you're exactly correct. If we don't fix the business, we don't fix the business.
Yeah, I wrote down the words bailout, Ron, when you say that. There's just no getting around the fact that you cannot look at this money that the government is going to put up to help you to bail out the fact that you haven't been a great leader and you have not run a great business. This is a really temporary short-term fix, not for your business as much as to give paychecks to the people that have relied on you. And think about they paychecks that they've relied on you. They've relied on you to be a better business person. Oh my God, what a novel concept. It's time right now that the entire industry, everyone who doesn't have a coach, get in line. In fact, there's a point in time you guys won't be able to take any new clients on. I'm positive of that if everyone decides to come on board to do this. But what an opportunity to be in the face of our struggling shop owners and say, listen, you don't have to struggle anymore. You just need to have the right business acumen, and you need an accountability partner. That's what I think you guys bring. You bring smart, intelligent structure and disciplines to run a great business. And if they let you hold them accountable. They don't want to have that call on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock from Ron because he's going to yell at me.
Well, who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just a cuddly teddy bear to my clients.
If I had one of my BS flags, I'd throw it right now. Well, here's the thing, Carm. They have to understand that just having an accountability partner is a step in the right direction, but they have to do the things that are recommended. And we all have clients that we've had for a long term, clients, and we're still talking to them today, 5 years down the road, about something we talked to them about 5 years ago. And here's my fear of this stimulus plan. I don't care if it's to the homeowner, to the average worker bee, or to the shop owner. Is a shop owner is going to get that money, whatever amount it is. And you know what it's going to go to? It's going to go to a new motorcycle. It's going to go to a new motorhome. It's not going to be used for what it's supposed to be used for. I had this conversation with my son. He's in the workforce and he's thinking, wow, the government's going to give me $1,000. I said, what are you going to do with that $1,000? And he has a list. Why don't you put that money away? Because what if you get reduced hours at work? What if you get laid off at work? Well, I'll worry about that then. That, to me, sounds like a typical shop owner, too. I'll worry about it whenever it happens, right? So I just worry about the idea that goes back to Ron, we don't have a plan what to do with this money. We don't take care of what we need to take care of for it. We don't have money put away. Those things frighten me.
I would hope that the powers to be in Washington didn't make this so easy that the money comes in and it goes out for other things. I've seen some of the background of this. I mean, you've got to be able to, put these people back on the payroll. It goes out. I think there's more accountability to the money. And if there's not, Malin, then you've said something very smart and intelligent to the people in our industry. You've got to do what's right for your business is more long-term than the motorcycle will ever be, in my opinion.
Amen to that. I can prove it.
It's the best investment we have is our business.
Yeah.
There's not one struggling shop out there right now that couldn't be successful if they didn't want to be. All they got to do is ask. All the time I go everywhere and say, all you have to do is ask. We can turn it around. I've yet to see a shop that wanted to turn their business around and actually do the work that didn't make it.
I don't know if you had a chance to see our webinar chat. There's no free lunch. I've already gotten notices from insurance companies about increasing future rates. Will we see a spike in inflation after the money is in circulation and consumers start spending again? Very interesting point there. Tom Ham says 3 reasons why your sales should be going up right now, not down. Customers who cannot commute to work are more available to you. Vehicles sitting in garages and driveways instead of at a place of work are more available to you. And customer income is being maintained. However, customer spending is down, so your customers have more available cash. Interesting point on that. So, guys, we're like 43 minutes in. I think we could go on for another hour and a half and bring all these concepts to play. But I do want to try to summarize this because we need to put this in a consumable chunk of time here. Maybe we need to do this again in a few weeks. I don't know, but let's keep the dialogue going. I know you guys are busting your hump to communicate with the industry through videos and being out there. So thank you all for what everyone's doing. No matter what I do on Facebook or where I go on LinkedIn, there's something that I could consume as a business owner to help me through this crisis, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. So let's go around the room. Malin, I'll give you a moment or two to summarize surviving an economic downturn.
First of all, positive attitude. Great opportunities out there. There's things out there if you hustle for them. And I'll share a quick story. Talked to a shop owner yesterday and I said, how's things? He goes, we got cars in the parking lot. We have car count this. I said, why do you have cars today? She goes, well, we have this little script and we're calling customers who had work that we didn't do and we're talking to them and they're bringing the cars in and getting the work we recommended last time in. And so she's so proud of herself and she's going on and on and on. I said, so what you're telling me is you're doing what we've been talking about for the last 5 years.
For the first time.
And she goes, yeah, it works, doesn't it? Yes. Remember the first time I brought this up, you said this won't work? So sometimes being uncomfortable makes us try things that we didn't think. My rant here is get out of your comfort zone. Try something different. If it doesn't work, you learn something. But be optimistic. Don't go to work and tell your employees business sucks and car count's down. Go to work and say, hey, it's a wonderful day. Look what we got an opportunity to do today. Let's be positive about this. They hear all the negative stuff. Let's go to work and be positive. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you being here. Hope your family's doing fine. Is there anything I can do to help you? As opposed to, as I call it, I want you being Tigger. I don't want you being Eeyore. And too many shop owners are Eeyore. You got to go be Tigger. And you got to see the positive in this, not the negative. Nobody's going to park their car and walk. Trust me.
That's my big takeaway. Be Tigger.
That's an important one.
Thank you, man. Chris?
I want to ditto everything he just said, because a lot of what I was going to say was that. Malin, I think that was a great statement, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I want you to take away that you're not alone. There are people that are willing to help you. You can pay them. You can ask for free, whatever. Get off your butt, ask for help, and then for crying out loud, do what they say. It's not, again, we all do the same things. All three of us up here, we just do it a little bit different. But don't go through this alone. And then once you survive this crisis, because we're all going to survive it, we're all going to make it. But after the crisis is over, get ready for the next one, because there will be another one. There will be another national crisis. There will be another local crisis. Your road's going to close down. Your service advisor and all your techs are going to leave you and go start their shop down the street. Prepare for the next one now, as soon as this is over. Don't wait.
Thank you, Chris. I have heard an interesting thread through this, guys, and that is the frustration from the business coach because people won't implement the things that you're there to teach them. It's so interesting.
What you talking about, Willis?
Ron, I'll let you summarize this.
It is funny you mentioned that, because it is one of those things. As much as you want to keep saying, I told you so, that's not the right thing to talk about now. It's what I like about this. And, what I said prior to us getting on is I'm excited. I mean, I've been born to do this because finally people are now paying attention. You know what I mean? They're paying attention. They're doing little things and getting those big results, the things, the core, the plan, work the plan. But, we talked about this in the very beginning about the opportunity that this brings. And I'm going to tell you, the opportunity is huge out there. Opportunity comes from adversity. If you don't like the adversity, you're in the wrong business. Being a business owner is not for you if you're going to crawl into a corner and get into a fetal position when something like this happens. This should excite you. Get the information. As Chris said, there's plenty of free information out there. There's plenty of paid information, but you've got to take action on it. And right now is the perfect time to take action on it. I guess the best thing I could say is, think of it this way. If you want to shoot an arrow, what you got to do is you have to draw back on the bow. You have to pull backwards before releasing it. The further you pull back, the faster that bow is, or that the arrow is going to shoot. Right now, we're in that pulling back time. Right now, there might be a little lag time in your shop. If you're a little bit slow, you're pulling back a little bit. Use that time wisely. What you do now, the seeds you plant now are going to provide the crops that you're going to reap a little bit later on. And it reminds me of a Chinese proverb, which I'm going to totally screw up because I'm going to put it in my own words. But it basically says, if you want to see your current situation, look at what you've done in the past. If you want to see your future, look at what you're doing right now. And I think right now is the time to act. It's not the time to sit back and be inactive. Right now, pour on the jets, put all your blood, sweat, and tears that you've been putting in your business, time to crank it up that much more. Get prepared, because this little temporary thing with the virus thing is going to be gone. We're going to be in a new economy. Hit that sucker running, and right now is the time to do it.
Thank you, Ron. Good stuff. When I think about the automotive aftermarket being an essential service, look at the restaurants that are closed and they're only doing takeouts in a very limited way. Think of all the small businesses that are shuttered. We got a get out of jail card free. and we need to do something with it and something about it. I'm not saying that we're lucky, but it's the word opportunity that's been over this entire episode. We have an opportunity. Let's not squander it. Thank you so much, Ron Ipach, repair shop coach, Malin Newton, ESI, Educational Seminars Institute, and my friend Chris Cotton from Auto Fix SOS, a certified profit first professional. They've all done episodes and podcasts with me. Go to the website, type in their names, and binge.
Thank you, Carm.
Thanks, Carm.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.